My name is Cezar Virtosu. I am the creative director of Lords of the Fallen.
And I'm Alex Chaudret. I'm the art director on Lords of the Fallen.
Lords of the Fallen is a dark fantasy gothic action RPG with very weighted tactical combat. The player is this resurrected revenant that came here to seek fortune, glory, or valor. By chance, umbral lamp happens to fall in his lap, and gets resurrected into a creature that kind of walks in between two realms, unable to die, and will uncover what the lamp itself is like a destiny shaper. Kind of puts you on a collision course with some deities because godly powers do not come free. And while you explore the lands of Mornstead in an epic journey that takes you throughout the mountains, ups and downs, left and right, you're gonna right many wrongs, hopefully, or gonna inflict more harm upon this world on the brink. And then it is a battlefield between gods, and hopefully you will pick a god or an entity and do their bidding and save or damn the world itself. On your journey, you're going to meet a lot of victims of their own ego folly, or just mad lunatics, and you're going to interact with them as you see fit. They will either help you on your journey or try to sabotage you.
Yeah, Chen is a good first point for my first question. Can you give us a glimpse how this game did come together? Because there was a previous game from our studio, and
Yeah, so the, let's say, original Lords of the Fallen came out in 2014, and very quickly it was decided that there will be a sequel to it. Deck 13 did an incredible job with the first game. It had a lot of players, up to 9 million players, and was a critic and public success. And so CI Games really wanted to do a sequel to this, and actually created, after a few years, Xworks, our studio, just to do this sequel. Initially, so we were Lords of the Fallen 2, and the more we were taking from the original Lords of the Fallen, using all the critics or that was made for it, the feedback of the players, but also seeing how the whole action RPG genre had modernized itself in almost 9 years, but since the first one was out, it became kind of obvious that we were more or less doing a reboot rather than just a sequel. But we based so much and so respectfully our lore on what was done in the first game, extracting from what it had and pushing it even further, that we are 1,000 years after, so there is a lot of consequences of what happened in the first game. Plus, if you play the first game, you'll discover and you'll feel that there is like common names, locations that can be rediscovered. And we took all that and we pushed it so far that at one moment we were a reboot and a sequel, a requel. And Lords of the Fallen 2 had just to become Lords of the Fallen. And so we really think that new players can completely take it as it is right now. They will not be, losing anything. But the players of the original game that liked it will, put their feet in the slippers and discover stuff that we hid for them very respectfully of the first game also.
What were the biggest features or parts of the original game that you could keep, and the ones that you didn't need it or didn't integrate it from the original?
So I'm gonna let Cezar do on the gameplay part. Took some of the mechanics, but we had a lot of change to do, and I'll do the art part after.
So very briefly, we inherited everything in terms of paradigms, from the experience multiplier concept to the rune system, in having 3 schools of magic that are in competition. We could have added 6 schools of magic, but we wanted to create Lords of the Fallen, expand Lords of the Fallen. So everything that was in the first game we took over, and we expanded it tenfold. Now there is, even though there's 3 schools of magic, there is a massive arsenal of spells. All are unique and quite interesting the way they operate. People are gonna be pleasantly surprised. We are adding. We have again weapon families. Each weapon family has its own stances with its own ability, with the way attack shapes, and every weapon family has various weapons. Some of these weapons have unique properties. Some of them harken back to the previous game. Most of them are very new and unique to the world. Armor sets and everything in between. We added, of course, as I said, we expanded. We added the ability to wield any weapon in any hand and changes your move set. We have 3 types of dual wielding move sets. So we work relentlessly to expand this game in all directions, including, of course, the biome diversity, to be able to have that epic journey that starts from the bowels of the earth. You come out, you visit the gorges, the swamplands, and then the storm grip mountains, and then back into the ashes, and so on and so forth. But this is art territory.
Yeah, obviously there is a lot of things that changed. You probably saw it when you were playing from the art side between those 2 games. What we took is the whole feeling of a world very gritty, very gruesome. But for the story we wanted to talk about and the dark fantasy we wanted to relate to, we grounded a bit more. The first game was more what we call a power fantasy. It was huge armors, pauldrons, massive hammers and everything. What we have also in the game, but we got a bit more realistic, a bit more medieval grounded dark fantasy, which allow us to have a, let's say, larger scope of what we can show, and the biggest surprises arriving later in the game. And also, it's the opening to, let's say, our biggest surprise in this new version of Lord of the Fallen is the world of Umbral, which is an opening to cosmic horror that completes the dark fantasy. And this is probably the biggest change we had compared to the first game.
Yeah, can you go into detail with that? Like the new lamp features, and are there gonna be different lamps in the game, or are you just gonna upgrade that one lamp?
So there are many lamps, each one belonging to a lamp bearer. There's gonna be one lamp, but you'll be able to upgrade it in a true RPG fashion. And some of the upgrades are going to alter the mechanics quite drastically. But of course, these are bound to resources and experience and unique currencies that you need to discover. You need to dig deep into the umbral fantasy, scour the bowels of the earth to find the ground zero of the umbral insurgence, and But yes, umbral in terms of RPG and combat, and how it bleeds into all the mechanics in the game, either from not mechanics, but all job families, as we say in the industry, from environmental storytelling to sound to gameplay to even boss encounters. Umbral infected absolutely everything, and if you can weave it and shape it, because you're gonna respect an umbral, you're gonna be all that much more powerful.
Are there gonna be different story choices, like NPCs you can kill and that shape the story, or?
Yes. So one of the biggest changes, because when we set out to make this game, we wanted to address all the feedback that the first game had. Obviously, that would have been a folly to step away from that. And this attitude, this strategy of constantly playtesting and addressing feedback has been one of the staple strategies that we had. So we address the feedback and everything, and one of the major feedback that had a massive knock-on effect was that folks wanted to create their own avatar. They wanted to create their own character to play, to represent them. So us allowing a character to be created took the story away from a fixed protagonist with the quests and everything else. So you are now, while you are being inducted as a Dark Crusader, you could 100% betray your ecclesiastic masters and push the world into utter oblivion. And as I mentioned earlier, you're going to meet NPCs that are going to like that or not. Some of them will turn downright hostile, but there are different endings. There are 3 endings. We can talk about that. One of them is very, I would say, core, easy to achieve. You don't have to do much, just what you're being told. It is very drastic and but there's no good ending, so to speak. There's a more secret ending that you need to talk to some people, retrace your footsteps, corrupt some stuff, and then you're gonna open certain gates and areas, and you're gonna have different types of talk, and that's gonna lead you to one of the most horrific decision you're gonna take in the game. And that is the secret duper mega very obfuscated ending where you even fight the most horrific boss we have on hand.
Okay.
So every ending grants you a new starting class based on that revelation. With that comes with gear, that comes with new tools. So in case you want to play a New Game Plus or otherwise.
Since your studio isn't very known for Souls-like games, what was the hardest challenge for you to overcome in the development phase to get into the genre? Or
actually,
yeah, so the studio is not known for this kind of action games because we have been created for Lord of the Fallen. Hexworks Studio is part of CI Games, and CI Games created Hexworks for this. But from the very get-go, when the company was started, was Cezar and Saul Gascon, our executive producer. There was like one order is to take and recruit people who are passionate for those kind of universe and type of games. And Hexworks is a fully remoted company, which allows us to have people from any horizon. Myself, I'm French. Cezar is from Romania, Sol is from Spain, we have English, Italian, Argentinian, United States. So our get-go was to take the best experts, the best passionate people, the nicest people ever, to create a team to do this. So all this to say, it was a challenge, and I'm not going to minimize it was a challenge, but we had also the greatest team to do it. And for a 3.5-year project and creating a studio, that was probably this duality of doing both at the same time, plus remote pipeline. Maybe that was the challenging part of it. You want something specific on the game?
We're all fans. We all had our own careers. And usually as game developers, we don't have the opportunity to work on the games that we like. You are on a football manager when your heart is in dating sims, let's say. So everybody here effectively jumped at the opportunity to create a game such as this. And CI Games took a massive leap of faith to get people from all walks of the industry united by the burning desire to take a stab at the genre in the way that we are all, most of us are from Europe. It's our turf, right? It's our territory. These places look like actual locations you can see in Eastern, Western Europe. You know, we wanted to bring our folklore, our fears and our nightmares, our beliefs in a game. So this gave us a lot of energy and motivation to push through the challenging remote setup, the fact that we could not meet each other, to do remote motion capturing, and it was very challenging. But it got us through. It got us through. And as Alex mentioned, the ability to levy talent from everywhere was absolutely invaluable. And we learned a lot along the ways. We thought we were experts, and the genre humbled us. It is a lot of tribal knowledge in making these games, and some of them we knew coming in. I come from Assassin's Creed and some other games, so we know combat.
Yeah.
But do we know Souls-like combat? So we had to learn a lot of systems and how to improve it and make it better and make it better. We have incredibly good combat designers, and everybody says that. But the value of a developer is not necessarily the experience, is not necessarily at what project did they worked, but how not driven, but about their eagerness to dig deeper in this niche and understand and see problems before they occur. And that allowed us not to do iterations, because we are a smaller company. We didn't have a lot of time. 3 years and a half, we started from scratch. So in order to have this playable at your fingertips now, we had to do as little iterations as possible, returning and reworking as little as possible. The way we achieved that, and with this I'm done, is either creating strike teams that handle certain aspects of the game and focused on that to deliver them as good as possible, small teams, and making a lot of prep work. We measured 4 times and then we cut once, so that we make sure we don't rework things that we agreed on.
As final question, besides the lamp we already talked about, what would you say makes your games stand out from other Souls-like titles?
So aside of the Umbral things, I'm going to say my thing, Alex is going to say his thing. So what is not very obvious is that this game is handcrafted. What do we mean by that? There's a lot of unique assets, enemies, locations, tapestries, locales, setups that you all see only in one place in the game. This feeds into our desire of realism, of making the game feel lived in. Like this is a place. Every place has its own environmental storytelling. It was created by its people, which are different from the people next door. They have other beliefs. They had other architecture. We could not use modules from one culture to the other, and we have multiple cultures. This makes the world more memorable, even though you don't pay attention to these things. And at a molecular level, you feel like the journey is worthwhile, because you're always discovering things and you're absorbing information.
Yes, and I'm going to step in the obvious. The biggest thing that's going to make us stand out, we hope, is the Umbral realm. So we have this dark fantasy world that we call Axiom, where it's very tormented. It has all the references that we like, from Berserk to Claymore, Game of Thrones-ish. And this second layer, this second world, the world of the dead, where the player is going to be playing with back and forth during all his journey. And the key to this gate is this Umbral lantern that we already mentioned. And the way, and we saw it when people are playing, that it's changed the way of doing exploration, especially the more you learn the mechanics, is what it's going to make us stand out from the other action RPGs of this genre. Because it gives a little sensation of detective work. Sometimes you want to go and backtrack, raise your lamp to be sure you didn't forget something, or you didn't miss a hidden item or pathway, or you just want to just observe the grotesque and horrific statues made of clay and bone imbricked together. And sometimes you'll have to go into Umbral and you'll have to do this passageway, but you'll always wonder, but what was in the real world at this place? Should I go back and just, try to see it? Is there another secret I missed? And the lamp that all player will have whatever the type of builds they have, they can complete their combat style also. So as we said, we can upgrade the lamp. We can use it in combat, tear the souls of the enemies, regain a bit of life, withered life, so temporary life by siphoning. There are environments that can be used also for battle. Those blisters that you can siphon to get back some health, but also red blisters that you can make explode and push enemies out from a ledge. So there is a lot of small bits that make that the entire world is completely modified by this paradigm of Umbral. And the way the players are going to use it, and we hope they'll use it in multiple ways that we didn't even envisaged, is going to make it a unique product and a unique project for us.
Okay, thanks for taking your time. It was great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and I'll see you online on the 13th of October this year.